You're listening to the Black to Business podcast, an educational podcast providing Black entrepreneurs with the tools and resources to start and grow their businesses. We chat with vetted Black entrepreneurs, thought leaders, and business owners as they provide tips and resources to help take your business to the next level. I'm your host, Monique T. Marshall. On this episode of the Black to Business podcast,
for us, it's about what makes sense. Does this align properly with our vision, with our business model, with what we believe in? Is it strong enough? Is it because the thing about it with myself and my company, I understand the level of influence I actually have. And it's not a lot of people that are like me. And I mean it from this sense. Again, everyone does what they do for different reasons. Power was always a really big thing to me. Power was always really, really important to me, and influence. So, if I stand next to someone who is a new artist and I introduce them to, let's say, Mike Kaiser, that introduction looks completely different than them just walking up to him and saying, "Hey, I'm so-and-so and I'm an artist." You understand what I'm saying? So no, I introduced him. So now the level that he'll take them serious, it looks different. So I respect that I have that level of influence, and A, that cost, and B, that has to be protected. So we don't take on everyone. We say no to a lot of things. And it's tough because I never want people to feel like, oh, she thinks she's X, Y, and Z. But it's right now, I can't walk up to Oprah and be like, I want to be on your show, or I want to be, Ellen, I want to be on your show. It takes steps. You have to be, you have to put the work in to get to that point.
So I'm so excited for today's guest. I've really been following her journey for years. So it's always great to see the tenacity and the hustle that goes into someone truly reaching their dreams. And that's the one thing I admired about today's guest. So I remember back in college around 2010, and if you don't know, I'm obsessed with Diddy, but most truly inspired by what he's been able to accomplish and do for the community. So anywho, while doing research, of course, I researched everything about him. So one day I was researching and I discovered a Miss Diddy. And I'm like, who is this woman? Because one, she has my boo's name, and two, she's truly killing it even at that time. And this was in 2010. So a little backstory about Miss Diddy is she's known as the brand ambassador of LA, a marketing and branding genius, and an inspiration to her community. She's broken through barriers in a male-driven industry and currently sits as the only woman promoter in Hollywood, California, the capital of the most important force to this culture, which is the entertainment industry. She got her start doing West Coast lifestyle production for Good Music, a label founded by Kanye West. And of course, we had to touch on brother Kanye West. The success of this helped Miss Diddy recognize her skill in the entertainment industry, where she then spreaded her wings, working with some of the top name executives, celebrities, and companies in the industry. She branded the country's biggest comedy show, All Def Comedy Live, alongside ADD and Russell Simmons. This gentlewoman is also the CEO of a premier marketing firm, the Brand Group Inc., and owner of the production company, The People Group Inc. Talk about a boss lady. So during this episode, we talk about how to create powerful connections and influence. And the one thing I love that during this episode, Miss Diddy expressed staying true to yourself during this journey and the power of womanhood, which is so important and crucial at this time. So without further ado, let's get into it. So today I'm so excited for this episode because we have a very special guest. And Miss Diddy, just welcome to the Black to Business podcast. I am so excited to have you here, truly.
Thank you so much, Ma. Ooh.
Yes. So before we get started, if you could just take the time to tell my listeners who don't yet know about you, but I'm sure they'll be stalking you after this, a little bit about yourself, where you started in your journey, and what is it that you do in your business?
Yeah, certainly. Everyone calls me Miss Diddy, born and raised in Los Angeles, and really just been a pretty big influencer here. And, you know, for me, the most important part is to just be a really good businesswoman. So that's really important for me to be recognized and remembered as more than anything. So I own a company, the Brand Group marketing firm. We do all the cool stuff in Los Angeles. Been pretty blessed to be tapped in for doing all the really dope initiatives here with really big brands, really big celebrities, fusing the worlds together. I've been the only woman promoter in Hollywood for about 10 years. So really was a part of some really monumental moments in nightlife, like creating Separate Club Tuesdays and Toxic Day Party, down to, just tons of things that we did and that we've done and continue to do in the nightlife space. As well as I was only the first to really get blog recognition for nightlife clubs and parties out in LA. And then just went on to do all the PR and marketing myself. Started a company. I've had some really great clients, down to, movies clients, Jason Derulo, Terrence J, Baron Davis, some really great people, the mayor of Compton, Asia Brown, and just continuing to push the culture forward.
Yes. And thank you for sharing that. One of the things I love is when I have guests that I really actually have been following for a while, and I've actually been following you for a while. And the amazing thing is you have always been consistently on it. But the interesting thing is, doing my research, I found that you started in insurance, and then you built your way up. So what was that journey like for you?
Well, you know what? It's not that I've always worked in corporate. I'm a pretty smart girl, and I just went into corporate straight out of college, early college. I dropped out of college. And, so I always worked, but I worked in entertainment on the side. So when Kanye started Good Music, John Monopoly, the then president and one of Kanye's managers back then, and his really close friend, the mentor of mine, and brought me on board. And I did all the West Coast promotion, street team, all that kind of stuff. So I'm a daughter of a musician. I grew up in music, my godfathers, and, my family is really big in music. So I've always been a part of that world. And so I just did it on the side. I didn't realize that it could be a full-time, basically lifestyle for me, because it was just something I did naturally, promotions. So I worked in insurance, and I loved insurance, but I realized that I loved people, and that was what it was for me. So one day God told me to quit, and I quit. And so I've been running ever since.
Right. So what was it like for you to get your first start? And also, like, what was it? Because I know you quit. And some people, for our listeners, they're entrepreneurs.
Right.
And, whether it's they've prepared financially or just even mentally, like, what were some of the ways that you prepared, or, what are the lessons that you learned in that?
That's great. That's really great conversation piece. For, everyone's journey is different, but my journey was about following what God told me to do, following his dream and in his spirit. So that's what I've done, for me. And what I have learned some key elements and some key things in being a great entrepreneur and a success story is consistency, being key, and consistently being clear about your narrative. And I think that the way to do that is to be true to who you are. A lot of people become these things or these people or, these characters. They just become them, like social media allows you to like be whoever you want. It's like, no, just be who you are. You know what I mean? So for me, it was always important to be exactly who I am. I'm a girl from around the way. I'm from Compton, California. I grew up in a great family, in a loving family with loving friends. And, I've always been creative. I've always been, smart and really steadfast and believing in myself and just brave. And like all of those things were more important for me in entrepreneurship. Sometimes I've done so much in my career and I don't see it, I don't see it because I'm a true worker bee. So I just work. And, someone told me to stop and to kind of look at a lot of things and what I've done. And I did that recently and I was like, what the heck? Like it was really astonishing for me. It was like just even the small wins, the medium wins and the big wins, them all translating into big wins in the bigger picture. And thought like what moment was I in when I did this, or what moment was I in when I thought to do this? And for me, because everyone is different, I've just always been a really bold person and a brave person,
Right.
And I try to pull from that as much as possible. But prayer is really important to me, and also listening to God's word, listening to God, what God tells you to do. That's me. That's, everyone's different. And also people want to do things for different reasons. Like my reason was never to be like, oh, I want to be famous or like popular. Cause like I've been popular since I was in elementary, literally, not even like fronting. Right. You know what I mean? Like I legit, you could ask that question any one of my schoolmates, So like I was always a part of something or creating something or creating my step team or dance team and, being a part of these big moments, even in like school, junior high and elementary and up to high school. So, for me, it was important for me to be an influence to my generation from a positive standpoint, especially as a Black woman. And that was always important for me in business.
Loving it. And one of the things you spoke about before was even some of the things that you've been able to become the first to do or one of the early adopters to do. And I will say, like, the entertainment industry is not an easy industry to get into or to be known. And then you're a female. So how did you stand out? And what do you think are some of the things that made you stand out? And also, like, how were you able to build those relationships with, in that respect?
You know what? I don't care who I'm in a room with. I'm who I am. And I think that people come around people and they conform and they change and they become whatever they think somebody may want them to be. And it's like, you just got to have a strong sense of self, and it's a cliche, but it's true. It's like real recognize real. Like I've never had a problem with, someone of a higher status or stature or something looking at me and being like, oh, she just want to be on. Like, nah, like I demand respect, demand it. It's a minimal, and I respect myself and I'm a respectable person. So that stands out. And I'm a very authentic and organic person. So I don't press anything. I believe that how things happen they're going to happen how they're supposed to. So if I'm supposed to be in relation with X, Y, and Z or with that person, it's going to happen. However, it's going to happen. It's not going to be forced, And I was at an advantage because I started at the top. I didn't start as an intern or nothing wrong with that. I think everyone should, but I started with Kanye, as far as my music, my journey, I started with like a superstar. So that helped a lot in Kanye and John and Manop and like Kenny Burns and Don C and all these guys, G. Roberson and Al Branch. They were all really big and great at introducing me to everyone and putting me in front of everyone. And was like, yo, this is my little sis Diddy, whatever. And I just built those relationships organically, and I know tons of people, but that doesn't mean that everyone I'm supposed to just do business with, like it's about building the relationship and caring about how people are doing, how people's souls are, and people forget about that. They just forget about that. So I think that me being a respectable person in general, it was never been difficult to build those relationships. And I've been good at managing relationships, which I think is a tough thing. And I've learned that that's an actual gift to like actually manage the relationships, because I know a lot of people, and it's tough to kind of keep that in sync because you also have your own life to live. But it's just about being really, really organic, I feel. And people will take you at that,
Yes. And I have to ask you this because what are your thoughts in people saying, Kanye, you work with him, is in a sunken place? What is going on with Kanye?
You know what's interesting? I'm not quite sure. One thing I can say for certain is that he's always been Kanye, and I think that, what happens with this whole social media era is people think they know you, right? So they think they know you as the person like now, like, oh, you're just now doing this. Like, bruh, no, Kanye has always been Kanye. He's always been very, very outspoken and, thinking color and dreaming color and seeing color. And he's a genius. He's a genius. And that's a very tough gift to carry. Not everybody has that. That's a true thing. Like being a genius is a true thing. It's not like a fake thing. Like Albert Einstein was a genius. He wasn't smart and intelligent. He was a genius. You know what I mean? Like Walt Disney was a genius. Yeah. And a lot of these, again, social media, what happens in this new age is you're able to express it in a way, but it can be taken however you interpret it. The other side interprets it, right? Versus like sitting and having a conversation with the person. So I spent a lot of years, sitting under Ye. But in the prior year, in the beginning, and he's always been him. I don't know everything that he's thinking or going through right now or whatever, but for certain, you evolve as a person and you see things. And sometimes you have those conversations internally. Sometimes you have those conversations with your friends, and then sometimes it makes it publicly. And then what you do is open for people to have scrutiny, with you. But
that's true.
It's tough because I'm not completely sure. I do know that he is a radical thinker. So his views are radical to an average person. So that's why when he does something or says something, I always kind of stop for a second, because it's not like, oh, he's just tripping, he's just going crazy. Like, that's not cool. Like, you know what I mean? Like, think about what he's actually saying. Now, I don't agree with the whole Trump thing and all of those type of things. And, but it also depends on what is he talking about him as a businessman? Is he talking, it's tough. It's tough for me because I actually know him. So I don't know what place he's coming from. You know what I mean? But I just think it's tough because we do have a certain responsibility, especially being Black people right now, to be very careful, to be very, very, very careful. It's a really sensitive time. And I don't know. I just hope that he's able to express what he's saying in the best way possible so that people can kind of understand where he's coming from. Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely agree. And to a certain extent with, Kanye. So I just definitely had to ask you because I know you were close or you're close to him. So, but Diddy, you are like the relationship person. You just talked about like, how to maintain relationships, and that is honestly tough. So walk us through like, what's it like maintaining a relationship and what is the importance that you found? How often are you making sure you're checking in on people? Like, what are some of the ways that you do it?
It's again, just being authentic. I don't talk to everyone all the time, but because I have a lot of relationships to maintain. I have my own family, I have parents, I have siblings. So, as it relates to this business, there's some people I'm, of course, closer to than others. And when I think of them, I hit them, and vice versa. You know what I mean? And I'm just really like who I am. I take care of people. Like, people call me for all kind of things. If they need something and I'm able to do it, I handle it. I take care of it. And I pride myself in that. And, it just depends, people come to LA, they hit me, and, vice versa. Like one of my close friend, one of my really good friends is Toya, right? She's so freaking incredible to me. And I love I love her. I love all the women in Atlanta. They're so amazing. They're so, they're just open. They're open armed. Like I don't experience that type of love many places. It's really like down south, homegrown, family oriented type of spirits. You know what I mean? And like Toya and Tiny are out here in LA just for a couple of days on some business, and Toya always makes sure she hits me if she's in LA or checks on me or vice versa. And, if I'm in Atlanta, I'm like, where are you? How are you? What's going on? So it's just about that organic connection and that mutual respect and regard, you know what I mean, for each other and what's going on. And people have all kind of things that happen in their life. It's like things happen to people and it's like, I'm going to reach out. You okay? Everything will get okay with you? Okay, good. Because I know what it's like for just everyone to hit me to need something. My phone 90% of the time is asking me for something, to do something, so I know what that's like. So it's important that we like take the time to just be like, hey, you good? Everything's cool? All right.
Yes. And I love that you said that because, it's about in relationships and as we're building and growing, there are sometimes you have to set those boundaries, but also making sure you're taking care of yourself. So how do you deal with what kind of situations and dealing with, people, because you do provide the goods and that you serve in an extent. So dealing with that and also making sure you're taking care of yourself and making sure you're protected as well. So when people are constantly asking,
I'm slowly but surely, but newly learning that whole self-care thing, because I'm a sacrificial minded person. So for me, everything is for my family, for my culture, for what I'm supposed to do. I do what I'm supposed to do. All of those things. I do that first, and I'm learning it now. And sometimes for me, that just means shutting off the world and being in my house and watching Golden Girls and just being quiet or learning or thinking that it's okay to put my phone over there and not handle all the work and stress and business. So my self-care is those type of baby steps, or taking the time, spending the time with someone you care about and like putting your phone up. You know what I mean? Whether it's a guy friend or, your friend, just taking that time to do that and to be in a moment. So I'm slowly but surely learning the whole self-care thing. I don't, badger myself or do anything crazy like that. I definitely take my time, but taking more of my own moments to be in my own thoughts, to be quiet. Because outside it's so noisy. This job we work in, this industry we work in, is very noisy, and it's important to be able to get to yourself and be quiet in your own thoughts.
Yes, and that's how you're continuing to produce greatness. So I definitely want to talk about what you're working on and the brand group and how did that come about? Like, tell us the story of the brand group, LA.
So I was promoting, of course, and then I started tour managing one of my friends from elementary school. He's a really big artist. And then we were splitting in that business. And in my mind, I said, I never want my livelihood to be at the hands of someone else. So at this same time, I also was, like I said, promoting and being the only girl promoter. I always work with all guys, and I love all my business partners, Supreme Team, LA Finance, like all the guys that we've built nightlife together. They're my brothers. But I also, excuse me, felt like I really wanted the recognition for how much work I was putting in myself aside from them. And that's when I just started my company. I just took $250. It might have been, I might have not had a whole lot more than that. And I started the company. And since then, just God has just took it to crazy heights. Like I believe in, if you answer the call and you do what you're called to do, all those doors fling open, and it was about creating a legacy for my life, for my family and my family to come. And that's pretty much what I did. I just believed and I just took the leap. I've been leaving.
Yes. And that's amazing. I think you were able to build to this point, and it's just like great that you were able to, make something so great of yourself. And you've definitely been putting in the work and making an impact. How do what is it like working with the brand group, and what is it that you do within the business, and how do you determine who your clients are?
Well, it is my company. I 100% own it. I have a couple business partners, Diana, who's my best friend of 20 years, Jania, who's handled all my business for the past 8 or so years. And, for us, we do govern our business with our hearts and passion, but with our minds as well. And being aware of the place that we are in. I think that the greatest thing you can do is to know where you are, right? So there's a time where I didn't charge as much as I charge now, but
right.
It's up there. So, it's not, and I'm not coming down. It's just going to keep going up. So for us, the way we kind of pick things, God has been really faithful and really great to us. I've never had to look for a client. I've never had to look for any business ever, ever, ever. It's always came, kind of to our front door. And I thank God for that. But for us, it's about what makes sense. Does this align properly with our vision, with our business model, with what we believe in? Is it strong enough? Is it because the thing about it with myself and my company, I understand the level of influence I actually have. And there's not a lot of people that are like me. And I mean it from this sense. Again, everyone does what they do for different reasons. Power was always a really big thing to me. Power was always really, really important to me, and influence. So, if I stand next to someone who is a new artist and I introduce them to, let's say, Mike Kaiser, that introduction looks completely different than them just walking up to him and saying, "Hey, I'm so-and-so and I'm an artist." You understand what I'm saying? So no, right. I introduced them. So now the level that he'll take them serious, it looks different. So I respect that I have that level of influence, and A, that cost, and B, that has to be protected. So we don't take on everyone. We say no to a lot of things. And it's tough because I never want people to feel like, oh, she thinks she's X, Y, and Z. But it's like, right now, I can't walk up to Oprah and be like, I want to be on your show, or I want to be, Ellen, I want to be on your show. It takes steps. You have to be, you know what I mean? You have to put the work in to get to that point. And it's the same thing with us and clientele. It's like, not everyone, it's just, you're not at that moment just yet, And so, we definitely govern our business with our hearts and passion, but we're very smart women, and we always have to make sure what makes sense with what we align with, because we have so many ties, politically, and and my pastor's following me and things like that. There's things that I respect more than just the entertainment world. You know what I mean? No disrespect, but right. Political ties, it looks a little different how you can move. So, yeah.
And that's interesting you say that, because I was definitely going to ask, and you spoke about your influence that you have. And it's kind of like, did you see a transition in I guess you definitely had to, in your brand and how you were doing things on social. And was there ever a time where you were like, nope, can't post that, and this is why, and
Oh, time and time again. Always. And it's tough because I love hip hop music. I love all of that. You know what I mean? But if, the booty's bouncing and the super curse words, I can't post it. There's nothing I can do about it. You know what I mean? I like to listen to it in my car, but I can't do it, because this is the decision that I made to be this type of influence. And that's important to me. Mm-hmm. That's not everybody. That's no judgment either. But that's just the choice I made. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna go to the slut walk. It's just, I'm not gonna do it. I can't do it. That's my choice on how I chose to be an influence to this generation. And it's no judgment on anyone else. You know what I mean? Like my position is different. Like I told God, yes. I didn't say I want to be famous. I want to be an artist or I want to be popping. That's not my reason for what I'm doing. You know what I mean? So yeah, it all the time it happens, and it's so funny because it's like, it's so weird. I didn't like the sense that people are so sensitive now. And it's like, you can't have it's so ridiculous. And it's all for the wrong reason. It's all insecurity. And it's like, stop, it's like, I can't say I wouldn't go to a slut walk without being like, oh, you're woman bashing. It's like, wait, no, that's not, no, no. You know what I mean? Like, but the opposite side could say all of these things about, the women like myself, or, you know what I mean? Like, and I hate to separate it, but there's a separation. Like, I'm Wakanda forever. I'm over here with the, with the Angela Rye. Right. Those, I believe in that level of, of women, and everything that's happening with women right now, especially with just our Black actresses, man, and just where they are right now, and like what time it is right now. It's a beautiful time to be a woman. It's a beautiful time to be a Black woman, and it's an incredible and imperative time to be a strong, like, woman. You know what I mean? Like a woman of integrity, like an integral, full woman. In that the message is that it's no better time to be that than right now. And it's just like, man, I want to make, Rosa Parks proud, and like those women that came before us, and, and that vein, like there's a lot of things that they fought for that, if we, to be honest, us selling ourselves short when we don't withhold their legacy. And that doesn't mean to be goody two shoes or anything like that. You get it how you live. But in this day and age and the platform that we have, it's so important that these young girls understand that there's still Claire Huxtables that exist. Like that's important.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And that's just the decision I made for my influence and my career. Yeah.
Yeah. And I love that you said that, because it's like you said before, it's like social media, all of these things we're having put in our face, and people before social media, I kind of feel like people were able to be themselves and kind of, see things from a distance. But nowadays it feels like you have to be a part of it, even if it's not you and you don't have an issue with it, but you have to be a part of it. You have to be engaged in it. And I love that you're saying like, this is the path that I chose, and this is the way I'm going to choose to do my impact. So I think that's what it's about, showing people that it's okay to stay true to yourself and not be a part of whatever else is going on if you don't want to.
Yeah, for sure. And I was raised by really strong women. I wasn't raised by any weak women. So like, I don't care. You know what I mean? Like this is what I chose. Like, ain't nobody gonna run up. So like,
nobody gonna run up.
Nobody's gonna run up. So like, I think that we can't be afraid to have that stance and to believe in that stance and to voice that stance, because I believe all women should protect womanhood, and it should look a certain way. That's what I believe. It looked a certain, when I grew up, it looked a certain way with my mom, and I'm fortunate to have an incredible, beautiful, strong Black woman that raised me.
The impact of your mother, that makes you who you are today. And I think that's so important to acknowledge, and that we have real women as role models.
Yeah.
So that's a beautiful thing. And I know you mentioned that you have, you grew up with a lot of strong women. So that is, I could tell from where you got a lot of your characteristics and traits. So you also you also had a lot of mentors, like you mentioned, Kenny Burns, I know Russell Simmons. Like, how was that so instrumental in your path? being and having a mentor, and do you participate as a mentor to others?
You know what? To be honest, consistently, I would say Kenny Burns has been throughout, my career in John Monopoly. And then I've had moments with really great, people as like Russells and, Steve Rifkins and things like that. And those people, what I've done is I like to sit and soak up as much knowledge as possible. I think that young people think they know it all. They want to, this internet age makes you think that you know everything, and I like to sit and listen. I had the pleasure of Romeo's a great friend of mine, Romeo Miller, and I had I had a couple great times, but this particular time of sitting and listening to Master P talk for like 2 hours straight. And I was in awe and I was quiet and I just took in everything, and I just
give us some.
Yeah, I love those moments. Like Russell, I've had those with Russell and Steve Rifkin and, these type of guys, and just sitting and really in Top Dog and just sitting and listening. You know what I mean? And just taking the jewels and applying them to my own business and my life. And I remember one thing that Master P said that was instrumental to me. That could be very simplistic to someone else, but I was I was sitting listening to Master P and just tell some stories. And he was saying, it was a record that he believed. I think it was either Make 'Em Say or it was Ice Cream Man. And he believed so much in the record. And I remember him saying, I'm paraphrasing it, but saying like, there's people that even was on his family that was on his team. And he felt if there was one person, even just one person that did not believe, they had to go. And it just made me really think like, literally everybody has to believe in your team or they gotta go. That's it. It's not, he was like, it was just no in between. And, everyone had to believe, and he was so adamant about that. And I felt like it just kind of sent chills through my bones. I'm like, that's really what it is. That's what it takes. Like, you have to believe, you know what I mean? And like, I sat and listened to Russell talk so much, and I love those moments. I love those stories that people tell, you know what I mean? And just those things I cherish. I really cherish because I don't have to have those moments with them. I've been blessed to be able to sit in those close, corners with them. And same thing with Steve Rifkin. He's been a really, really great friend to me for years into my career, and someone that I can call and be like, Steve, like I need X, Y, and Z, and he'll do it. Doesn't matter. Who do you need to talk to? Who do you, whatever. And I just come from an era that's how it was, and it's sad that this new generation, they're not fully like that. It's not like for the people as much. It's like for self, or like an agenda. And, I just come from an era where it wasn't like that. It was, everyone was for everybody, and that was important to me. And so I carry that with how I live my life now and do business now. And I feel that, in the long run, it works.
That was so powerful that if one person doesn't believe, they have to go. And people don't understand how much that sour apple can really weigh on you and your energy if you have that in your team.
Yep.
So that is good. I got to quote that for the episode. So like, I'm sure, you've had all of these amazing relationships, but there have been some things that haven't quite worked out, whether it been in, business relationships or even you building a business and a team. Like, how did you deal with that? And what were some of those situations that others can learn from, if you care to share?
For me, again, I say this all the time, but it's my life. I believe in God, and I believe in he makes no mistakes. So when things happen that we perceive, finger quotes in the air, bad, or like, it should have went another way, there's always a reason why it's supposed to go that way, and whether it's, for you to learn. I recently went through a season. I believe we live life in seasons. And I went through a season where God was teaching me to be quiet. So I had like some really close friends to me go left, like some friends that I've done a lot for, go left and just talk about me and just talk about me to people that I knew. It was a really crazy time because I've never really experienced anything like that since like years ago or maybe high school or something like that. But anyway, I'm a firecracker. So I'm a Leo, I'm a lion. So I eat, breathe, sleep, boundaries, respect, loyalty. Like I bleed that out of my body, you know? So at the point to which that's like, that doesn't hold true to someone else that I'm close with and it goes left, it's tough for me to handle it. So like I only know how to handle things by like pulling up and having a conversation. However it's gonna go, it's gonna go. You know? So that's just how I am. That's how I was raised, that's how I am. You know, and it was interesting because I went through a season and it was happening and I heard God so clearly. He told me, be quiet and let it happen. And I couldn't understand for the life of me because I know how to nip it in the bud, you know, but I had to let it happen. And for whatever reason, I had to trust that what he was doing was good or what was for my betterment, whatever that was, you know, or what he was ridding me of in those moments, you know, like I've had things happen in business. I've had had like a couple legal cases that was like, wait, what are you trying to,
what?
You're jealous? That's why we're here. You know what I mean? And it's like, you just have to, a solid person takes the good with the bad. You know, I've been blessed to, you know, be successful in business, to be good to my community, be good to my family, to live a great life, financially stable, emotionally, mentally, have a free life. So I have to be able to take punches. You know what I mean? Like you have to be able to take punches. That's what this life is made of. This is what it's about. It's the balance. It's building your character. It's testing your character. It's testing your tenacity. Like, you know, or sometimes when you're supposed to go to the next level and you don't, things happen and you're like, oh, okay, shoot, you pushing me into the next level. Let me get back on what I need to get on, you know? And I also believe that perceiving things the right way can really save your life. You know, having the right perspective about things happen to me, people do bad things or do things. And I'm just like, oh, okay, that's something you got to work out with yourself. That don't have anything to do with me. I'm going to keep doing what I'm supposed to do and stay focused and stay tunnel vision, you know? So I just believe in life, the most solid person, you know, can suffer well. And we all have to go through it, you know?
That's good. That is good. So I don't know. I got to ask this question. So throughout your career, I'm sure that you talked about like charging your worth and things like that. Like what were some of the ways that you were able to monetize your talents, and also some of the ways that those who are listening, interested in doing the same, can look to charge what they're worth?
You have to build that worth. People think because you're popular, you can charge or something like that. You have to build that worth. You know, I'm one of the trailblazers in creating a really, really extensive and wealthy room. So the people I can get in one room, most people can't even get an email address to. So I had to realize how important that was. And that goes back to perception and perceiving things the right way. I just had this conversation with a very close guy friend of mine. And, you know, I was going over some business stuff with him and we were talking back and forth. And you know, I just said, like, the room I create, two people can sit in that room that I brought to that room. In that moment, create $1 million deal and I'll never see the money from it. But because the room I created and the atmosphere I created, they were able to do that. You know what I mean? So like, you have to build your worth. I built my worth. I've been in this business over 10 years, successfully, consistently. You know, some people heard of me 10 years ago. Some people heard of me 5 years ago. Some people heard of me last year. Some people don't know me, you know? So it's about building that worth. And if you build it, they'll come. So I think you have to be realistic about what you're doing and about what you're able to create, because Good people can just throw a party. That doesn't mean anything. I've been throwing parties forever, but I've created rooms that can change people's lives and that have changed people's lives. People have gotten record deals off of the spaces that I've created for them to come. Connected with that producer that they never was able to connect with, maybe met James Fauntleroy and he never comes out, 1500 or nothing, these things that people, it would never happen. Or, Director X came and you would never be able to see him somewhere else, but he came to my, you know what I mean? Like those, that's why I'm able to charge, because my worth, I built it for over 10 years to be able to do that now,
Definitely. See that investment in time. Love it. Love it. Love it.
Yes.
So I don't know why I didn't ask this in the beginning, but where did Miss Diddy come from? Where did the name Miss Diddy come from? Gosh, she won't tell me her real name.
It just came it caught me out at high school, like kind of fresh out of high school, which was so many years ago. And it just called me Diddy. And like, it really didn't have much initially to do a Puff. And then it just became like, oh, she's like the female Puff, and it just fit, and I've just kept it. And Miss came from like social media. So I added Miss on there just to make it feminine. And now it's like, it's just Miss Diddy. It works. My mom calls me it. So
oh, see that family support.
Right. She knows in public, don't play with me with my real name. She knows.
That's so beautiful. I think that's how I found you, discovered you a while back, because I'm obsessed with Diddy and his work ethic. Everyone knows that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, who is this lady?
That's funny. He's the freaking best to do it, man. He's the best to do it. He is a man that is really about our culture, and he hasn't lost a passion for our culture. And it's something to be really commended. If you see, like, he knows everyone that's popping, that's about to pop, that's soon to pop. Like, he keeps his hand on things. And anyone that's been blessed and fortunate enough to even be around him physically close, you really see the detail in his work. You know what I mean? Like, he is the best to do it. When he believes, and he makes you believe. You know what I mean? Like, and he creates.
He does.
He does, man. He really, really does. And it's like, I feel like he gets recognition, but I'm not certain that he gets the recognition he actually really, really, really deserves. He's a phenomenon, and we'll never see another Puff Daddy. Like, I don't think so. Not for how he's done it. I don't think so.
Right. Yes, take that. So Diddy, you are doing some amazing things and continue to do so. What are some of the things that you're currently working on, and the opportunities that you've been able to gain currently?
My focus right now is really my community. I'm from Compton, so the mayor of Compton, Asia Brown, is family, and family to me, and a great client. And we're just working on some really great initiatives for the city, and to continuously keep eyes and visibility on what we're doing. Compton is like a country's favorite city type of thing, and we have some really great people that have come out of, Compton, and just Kendrick winning that award. And it's such a great time. And we have so many great people from Compton, like James Harden's from Compton, Brandon Jennings, Anthony Anderson, Ava DuVernay. It's such a big time for us right now. So I'm really focused on that, and just making sure that we're doing the best we can in our community. Like, I go to church in Compton, Greater Zion, and just doing my best there. Entertainment, I'm always able to do, but the magic is when you're able to really move the needle in your community as well as being successful,
Love it. So before we head out, I definitely have some fire questions for you.
Yes, ma'am.
The first one being, what advice would you give your 23-year-old self?
my 23-year-old self, I would tell her, you're on the right path. Keep your discipline. Keep it. And always believe in yourself and drown out the noise, but always believe in yourself.
Good. And what's the last item you purchased for yourself?
I'm sure it was a bag.
The bag.
I'm sure it was a bag. I'm a Saint Laurent girl, so I love Saint Laurent. I'm literally looking at my house. It probably was some old basic. I can't believe that's my answer. A bag. It definitely probably was a bag. I'm so irritated with myself that's my answer. I should have had something prolific.
It's okay. We'll switch it into you had to secure the bag, or you know.
Hilarious. I mean, you know what? Because everything in my life I buy for myself. So, girl, it's everything. Shoot. Down to my cold medicine I just bought earlier today.
That is hilarious. Okay. And what's your guilty pleasure snack?
Guilty pleasure snack. I'm a sweet I love sweets, so I don't buy them for my house. I try not to keep them in my house at all. I can eat ice cream every single day of my life. I promise you. There's a time where I did. I'm not lying. Flavor, mint chocolate chip, and a scoop of birthday cake. Baskin Robbins has this flavor called birthday cake. This specific Baskin Robbins, they keep it because it's seasonal, but they keep it because I like it so much. No lie. But it's really ridiculous with sprinkles. It's sad. It is. And I could eat a whole birthday cake to myself. I just want to tell you that.
How can you do that? And how do you keep?
I love cake. It's sad.
Yeah. How do you find the time to keep a good shape and still, eat how you want to eat? Because you kill it in the gym too.
Yeah, I do. I don't. I'm early 30s now. You can't be playing them games. You gotta stay healthy.
You're right. So the last question is, if you could have lunch with one woman, who would it be?
Oh, dang. It's Beyonce Oprah.
Okay. Beachella.
Right. I mean, God, man. Oprah or Beyonce? Oprah. Dang. Yes. All hail the King Beyonce for sure.
Yes. Okay. And so, Diddy, it has been so awesome speaking with you, and I'm pretty sure people are going to want to know more about you and how they can get in contact with you or just support what you're doing. Where can people find you?
Social media is pretty straight across the board. Miss Diddy LA, that's MISSDIDDYLA, and my company, The Brand Group LA. So The Brand BRAND Group LA across the board.
Yes. So this has been so much fun. I thank you so much for stopping by and sharing your story with us. I know I got a lot from it. So thank you for being on the Black to Business podcast.
Thank you so much. And congratulations, love.
Yeah.